Good. Thanks for coming. Again, coming off a tough loss against a very good football team in Northern Illinois. Very proud of our guys, though. They fought hard, played hard, and that's the one thing that we sit there and we talk about that we focus on. For 60 minutes, there's probably about 4 or 5 plays in that game that, if it went our way, that the outcome probably would have been better. But we'll sit there. We kind of had a little issue yesterday. The power went out the stadium, so we wasn't able to watch the film as a group. Bunch of guys came in last night and watched it, but as we watched it as a coaching staff, a lot of things we can get better at, a lot of things we can correct, but also a lot of good football play, by a lot of different guys. So, improvements will be made. Our guys are hungry. One of the good things coming in a game or coming out of a game like that is one thing the guys kept on talking about is we'll get this thing fixed. We'll get this thing turned around. You didn't see a lot of sulking because you lost, but not a lot, it's over, it's done, it's whatever. We're going to get better. We're going to finish this thing the right way, and that's what I always look at. If you have the attitude to sit there and get better, you will.
Last week you were saying if you tried to contain Lynch too much, that would open up so many other holes. Did that happen kind of with their running back that game?
No, I don't think so. I think, again, a difference of, getting it fit the right way. I think also tackling, a little bit had to do with that. But it wasn't nothing that we kind of overcompensated for Lynch to do, on what opened up their run game. We did go into this game, I know, as a coaching staff, and I learned this a long time ago. When you sit there and you play against teams that are high-powered offenses like Northern are, you don't worry about the yardage. I know you look at the stats and you say, man, they had a bunch of yards and this and that. It's the one thing that you don't focus on. The thing that you focus on is don't give up big plays and keep them out of the end zone. And we know going into that game with Northern, they had a bunch of drives, 19 or 20 drives, where they scored touchdowns, and they had a big play in every one of those. When we sat there and we did a good job of making them earn it, and they got yardage, but we had to make a play in the red zone, we did it. So those are the things that I wouldn't sit there that we were overcompensating for Lynch on why the run game happened. They found the formation that worked for them, and they kept on doing it. And that's really kind of what it boiled down to.
What adjustments do you make this week to try to, obviously Ball State's a different type of team, but yet.
And that's the key. Ball State's totally different than Northern. They are a high-powered offense, but they're not a 21 personnel, type. Now they may try to put it in. I doubt it, because I think they're going to stick to who they are. But again, to me, they're the same type of team. The number one thing is to keep them out of the end zone, not to sit there and look up at the scoreboard and see how many yards they have, because they can, put yards on the field. We just got to do a better job keeping them out of the end zone.
Coming into the year, you look at the schedule. Obviously, it's very difficult. How things have unfolded, though. You keep catching these guys. I think Bowling Green was there after Tulsa. Then you catch Northern after they route Purdue, and now you're getting Ball State right after they take care of Virginia.
Yeah.
You just talk about that, the schedule, and how tough it's been.
And again, it is what it is. What they did last week really has no bearing on what happens on Saturday, and that's kind of the approach that we have. I think, it's more about us. It's more about our attitude. It's more about our focus than what Ball State is feeling, right now. They have a right to feel good. Their record's good. They just beat Virginia, but that really has no bearing, when the ball's kicked off against Kent State. They haven't played us yet. So that's kind of the attitude that we sit there and have. We'll watch the film. We'll look at what they do well. We'll respect the heck out of them for what they've been doing, but has no bearing on what, is going to happen on Saturday.
Malcolm, can you talk about facing winning and what makes him special?
He's a good passing threat. He got good receivers. Willie Snead, Jamil Smith. They both coming back from last year. Willie Snead was first team All MAC receiver, but honestly, I feel like our defensive backs, we're coming along, had a rocky start, but as the games go on, we get better. And honestly, I feel like we're ready for them.
Last year, the Ball State game kind of set the tone for what turned out to be a special year.
Right.
Can you talk about that game and the memories you have from
Oh
that?
man, honestly, I feel like that was one of the craziest games of my college experience. You know, like went all the way down to the wire. Then playing. I mean, they're a tough team. Willie Snead, he had a great game that game. Great game. Winning was putting the ball on the money. But honestly, our offense, the last game-winning series, no timeouts left, drive all the way down the field, put it up. Freddie kicking the game-winning field goal. It was a great game.
Can you talk about winning, Coach? What makes him special? Dakota.
You know what? Again, he does a good job of getting it to his playmakers, which he has a lot of playmakers to get the ball to. I just go through kind of what I do on Monday mornings, just go through all of their games, and then I watched the game, last year. And the thing that he does, they don't give up a lot of sacks. They're not super complex. They're fast-paced. I mean, you watch a lot of teams running on and off, man. It is kind of crazy. So they are fast-paced. But when that kind of makes you have to be more simple on defense, because you can't sit there and a lot of times get a call in. You can't change a call. You can't do things like that. So it forces you to be a little bit more simpler. But I think he does a good job of just controlling, getting the ball out early. They'll throw a lot of quick passes, but it doesn't mean that it's short passes. They'll throw the ball up on fades, and those guys do a good job of going to get them.
Defensively, again, they've given up some points and yards, kind of similar to Northern Illinois, but yet they're 5-1. Obviously, they've done some things well on that side too. What do you see in their defense?
And I haven't watched them that much, defensively, but again, I think they are similar, like you said, to Northern as a bend but don't break. And when plays need to be made, they're coming up with plays, and I'm sure they play hard. I'm sure they play physical, and again, they got it rolling. They got it rolling. They're coming in this game with a lot of confidence. And I'm sure they're going to think that we don't have a lot of confidence, which I hope they do, because we are. We know that we are a better football team. We know that we can play better, and we know that we can compete. We just got to make sure that we eliminate a couple of mistakes that we're making, and we're 4 or 5 plays away from, being undefeated or, 5-1 or whatever.
You were saying that you're going into a game against another high-powered offense. Is there anything that you saw or learned from Northern Illinois that your defense can take into playing Ball State?
I think the big word that I talk to our team about is discipline. It goes back to a couple plays that you lose eye control. We don't communicate on the play right before the half of getting the call, communicate to everyone. Those are the things that we gotta sit there and teams are too good to give them stuff. So we got to play a little bit more discipline in certain situations, and not just give them plays, because they're good enough to get plays on their own. So those are the things that you sit there and you come out, and I think as a coaching staff and as players, you sit there and say, if we eliminate those things and we talk about missed assignments, not that we had a ton, but we talk about having 0. You can realistically go through a game and have 0 missed assignments. And those are the things that we got to make sure that we do against very good football teams, which we're facing.
How about offensively? You guys put up a decent amount of points last week, and as you said, you're going to be facing another offense that can put up a lot of points and a lot of yards. It seemed like you guys started to really put it together, though. Is that something that can be encouraging heading forward?
Yeah, and our offense did a good job of sitting there. That we left points, out there, that we sit there and we look offensively. There's a lot of points that we sat there and we left out there that we could have got. But it's not about outscoring them. We got to play good defense. That's the thing that you got to sit there and you got to do. And playing good defense involves the offense. You can't have 3 and outs. You got to keep the ball moving. When you get in the red zone, you got to put points on the board. That's all playing good defense also. So it kind of complements each other, both ways. So, I don't like to get into shootouts. I like to sit there and play good, solid defense and keep them out of the end zone and, put just one more point on the board than what they have.
Casey, can you kind of comment on that too? Where do you think the offense is right now?
I'd say the most exciting thing about us is we haven't played our best game yet. We still have little mistakes here and there, and if we make those better, then we're going to be a really explosive offense. Our goal every game is to score 30 points at least, and we've only done that a couple games. But once we hit that mark and we're firing on all cylinders, and like I say, Trayon and Dree, they're playing their best. I call them Thunder and Lightning. We're going to really get rolling, and it could be a really impressive offense.
Malcom, as a defense, you guys obviously a lot of turnovers last year. Not so many to start the year, but it seems like that element of the defense is starting to come back. Can you just talk about how important that is to you guys?
Well, we always talk about defense just getting the ball, just find a way, any way we can get the ball. Like no matter what you got to do. Like, and after the Penn State game, after Farrington got the first interception, it seemed like they started coming. But they all come from playing good defense. It's like you ain't got to do too much, just let them come to you. And I think that's what we're starting to do more instead of focusing on, I got to go get this pick, I got to do that, just letting the game, let the game come to you.
Casey, it's been a long time since a tight end at Kent State has had 3 touchdowns in the first half of the season. Can you talk about just what's kind of helped open that up this year?
I would say, I'm just thankful for Coach Haynes, Coach Rock, and Colin Reardon. They're giving me opportunities in the red zone. I'm just going out and executing really. Also, this year, me and Tim Urjovic, we've been very level-headed, and it's always good to have competition at your position. It always pushes the next guy. But this year, me and him just really understand that we always want a guy in there 100% and can go full go. So me and him really just came together, and it's been working out at tight end. So.
I think one of the other impressive things about Casey is really look at him as a possession, almost receiver, kind of that you can flex him out and do some things, but he's also improved a lot on his blocking, that you don't have to sit there and do a lot of substitution, and teams can kind of hone in on when Tim's in there, they're doing this, and when Casey's in there, they're doing that. I think he can do both with both of those tight ends.
Defensively, Coach, as a DB, talk about the balance between playing the run and playing the pass, and maybe get Malcom as well, to where you're not getting beat, It seems like there's a delicate little balance there.
Well, I know this, and I told these guys, and I learned this as a young coach from Dick LeBeau. You cannot have a good run defense without including the secondary. So you have to include the secondary if you want to have good run defense. And offenses and offensive coordinators are very good to try to make corners tackle. That's why we spend a lot of time on tackling, and there's no such thing as a cover corner. You got to be able to sit there and be rough and tough and get in there. In the same way with the safeties. But how you eliminate big plays is have great eye control. That's how you eliminate big plays and not peek in the backfield and read your keys. Your keys don't lie. And those are the things that we talk about all the time. But that comes with the discipline of football. The discipline of football is being able to do the same thing over and over and over again when everything else is telling you to do something else, and things are going fast-paced, things are hurrying up, and I got to read you. And that gets boring after a while. You want to sit there and look right behind you, and then bad things happen. So those are the things that we sit there and constantly talk about all the time. And you see it especially a lot of times with young players that all through high school, the only thing they did was look in the backfield, stare in the backfield. Those are things that you can't do. You got to take it a step further and become a very disciplined player with reading your keys and trusting your keys. So you have to be able to balance both. You have to be able to do both. Offenses are too good not to let you load the box and not sit there and test you over the top. And that's why I think our corners have gotten a lot better at. And you look at week 1 to week 2 to week 3 to week 4, these guys have gotten a lot better at doing those little things right. And they're making plays on the deep balls. And they're going to get challenged again this week with the out and the out and ups and just the go routes. But they're going to sit there and they're going to crack too and make them come up and tackle.
I mean,
These guys, this quarterback's throwing 300 yards a game, every game.
Yeah.
I mean, how much do you say he's going to get his, and how much are you going to say we got to stop him?
Well, I sat there again before you got here. I talked about this is another team to me that you don't sit there and look at yardage. The bottom line is keeping them out of the end zone, and they're probably going to get some because they mix in the short passing game that you can sit there and there's some of them that you just can't take away. It's got to be a catch and a tackle, and that's some of the times we sit there and we talk about you can't. I think they rely on their playmakers making plays, throw them a little bit of short balls, make them make someone miss because they are spread out, and something that's a 5-yard gain can go 60. But they also do a good job of throwing the fade. And I've said this all the time. You got a better chance of getting pass interference or him catching it than you do a defensive guy making a play, throwing the fades. And they do a very good job on throwing them. So I don't know if we sit there and we concentrate on the yardage. We concentrate again on keeping them out of the end zone. We concentrate on minimizing the big plays and tackling.
Obviously it's been a bit of a difficult start at times, but yet, you're 1 and 2 in the league. Parity's probably more so than ever this year. If you can somehow get this game, be 2-2, you
Right.
still really are in the fold at this point. You guys talk about that, I'm sure.
And that's the thing, and that you're still in it. You still got a chance, and that's where we got to make sure again. Going into a season, and this is the great thing about having a good program, is your expectations are so high. You go into it with trying to win every game, and that has not happened. But then, just like all goal setting, you sit down again and you restructure your goals. And right now, our goal is to make sure that we finish this thing, the best that we can. And they're in the game on our schedule that we cannot win. They're in the game on our schedule that the opponent can't beat us also too if we don't prepare. So, that's why we're not down in the dumps. We're disappointed, but we're not down in the dumps because there's so much more that we can accomplish. There's a lot of ways to be champions. One of them is to be MAC champions, which we're still in. Another way is to be bowl champions, which we're still in. So we can still accomplish a lot with this football team, and our number one goal is to send these seniors out as winners.
Malcolm, can you take us through what you remember of your interception play on Saturday?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I say it comes off of film study. Like going down, like when they get into the red zone, I knew that they wanted to get the ball to number 10. So it wasn't my man, but I knew where he was, and they both, the 1 and 2 receivers, they both ran picking routes. So Tommy Lee could come underneath. So I kind of pushed my man into the other guy and fell off on my man, and then Lynch overthrew the ball, so I just ran underneath it.
You did a pretty good job overall on Tommy Lee. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I think so. I think these guys did a good job. They tried to move him around a little bit to try to isolate him on a safety or even a linebacker in some certain coverages. But our guys did a good job of hitting him. That was the one thing that you saw. He got banged up a little bit in that game and beat up a little bit. And then when you put him back there on kickoffs too, it's just another opportunity for guys to hit guys like that.
Speaking of kickoffs, I saw you went with Wood Calhoun as the other kickoff guy. Over Polk. Is that just because it's too much?
Yeah, just too much, and Polk's a little banged up, also too. So again, it kind of goes back to don't let him get hit, another time. And but Ernest has done a good job, for us that back there too. But that's really why.
Did he get banged up? Is that Penn State banged up when he was returning kicks?
Yeah, and his shoe. What isn't it? His ankle, knee, shoulder. What else?
You got a lot, right?
Everything.
So, but yeah, just to sit there and not take another hit, on him.
He made a couple big plays
Yeah.
Saturday too. Big rundown.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, our guys are sitting there and making plays. We're playing, better defense at time. We just got to put a complete one together. And you're playing some very good offensive teams too. I mean, to me, that team that we just played is very tough to defend because they spread you out. They got great playmakers on the outside, and they still got 2 running backs, in the backfield. And that's hard to sit there and to defend. And our guys did a very good job, a lot of the times to bend but don't break, They got a couple big plays on us that hurt us. But they got a lot of yards running. A couple of those that they broke, we needed to stop, but we had to get off the field on 3rd down some of the times. And that was the key to get off the field on 3rd down that we didn't do at key times in the game.
Does Ball State have a 240-pound back, or do they?
No, I don't think their back's that big, And he did a good job. I mean, he ran hard. I don't know how many times he carried the ball, but he carried it a lot. Yeah, I mean, so, I give credit to them. Like I said, they found the formation that they liked. They didn't run that formation a whole lot going before then. But they found the formation that they liked, and he was patient and did a good job of finding creases.
Any update on Colin?
You know what? I think he's going to be fine. It's kind of hard. I think they're going to do a couple more things today. Tomorrow, yeah, but we'll find out a little bit more tomorrow. But, you talk to him, and I'll be fine. So he's probably on the Luke Wallet. It must be something about that Youngstown area. On that Luke Wallet level of probably have to have a straitjacket to keep him out of playing, but I think he'll be ready.
Any second thoughts about having him in at the end? I mean,
No. I mean, again, those things that happen that you sit there, but I mean, you're 14 down, so you got to try to make something happen. You got to go with the guys that you feel are best to get that done. Just missed the block, so. Thank you.